Good morning, everybody. This is Jamie Miller again with another episode of Thoughts from the Crawlspace. Today, we are delighted to have DeWayne Chupp from Roof Maxx with us today. And DeWayne has been helping homeowners for several years now to help extend the life of their roof. So you got some damaged shingles, or maybe not damaged, but worn shingles, getting near the end of their life possibly, or whatever. We'll let him explain that here in a few minutes. But he's here to explain how you can save some money without having to replace your whole roof. So, DeWayne, thanks for being here today.
I'm delighted to be here. It's good.
So, before we get into what you do now, what did you do in your career before you got into Roof Maxx?
Well, so just a quick background on our end is I grew up Amish, so I had an 8th grade education, and with that, we kind of went into the workforce a little early. And we started our career at Redmond Homes in Topeka, and we were shingling roofs about 14 halves a day. So that kind of got me in the roofing industry. And we realized with that pace that they have in a factory making mods, makes you old quick. And then we went from there into the RV factory, which is very common here in the Elkhart area. Obama came out and visited us 3 times because of that. And then I got into personal development and sales, and we did roofing sales for a company out of Goshen. And in that season, I had no idea I always wanted to have my own business. So I was like kind of in a limbo there. And I realized that was a season that was put on me to learn even more about roofs in general. And it really did help. And, then we had a distribution company for about 5 years before we bought Roof Maxx, a dealership. And we just had no time. And the hours were odd. I have a young family, and we ended up selling that. And that's when we got started with Roof Maxx.
So it sounds very similar in your story as to you did some things along the way that you couldn't quite figure out why you were doing them at that time.
Yeah.
But they prepared you for later on.
They did, and it's amazing how God works in our lives, and we don't know why it's happening, but when it does happen, and then you look back in the past, it's like, that's why that happened.
I mean, I was a teacher for 6 years, and I'm not sure I enjoyed a single day of teaching. And I asked myself, why am I doing this? But later, it prepared me for teaching in front of real estate groups, in front of, Chamber of Commerce type groups and things like that. Absolutely. So yeah, it's amazing how a lot of it works together. So mainly for family reasons and wanting to work for yourself, you got into Roof Maxx. So describe Roof Maxx and what it does.
So I will do this in probably 3 minutes to keep the time short. So your shingles, asphalt is made with it's a petro-based product, because it's out of every 55-gallon barrel of oil that's produced. They have all these petro products that come out. And then at the bottom, you got the deep sludge, slurred, tarry stuff. That's where asphalt is. So it's 100% a petro-based material. And as the sun hits your asphalt on your shingles, it will dry it out. And it starts about years 7 to 10. And as it dries out, your asphalt hardens. That causes your granules to start shedding. And then as the hardening continues, the granules fall off. Then you get more and more asphalt exposed. And it just accelerates that back end process. And you lose your flexibility where they can't expand and contract. And when that happens, you have your decking. You have your rafters that are expanding, contracting underneath, but your shingles aren't. And then you start getting nail pops, and I'm guessing with your home inspections, you see nail pops under shingles, and that's what causes that. It pops them up, and then you get seal tab failure, and then your shingles, they start blowing off. So all that we do is we utilize a soy fusion technology, and it's soybean oil that has soy methyl esters, and soybean oil in its raw, unprocessed state has these soy methyl esters in it, which are emulsifiers. So when we spray the oil onto the shingle, it penetrates and saturates in and emulsifies the oil into your asphalt. and it simply just replaces and replenishes your dried out petrol oil with soybean oil and brings back the pliability, the softness of your shingles, so your granules will re-adhere and your flexibility returns to like that of a newer shingle. And that's not us saying it, that's Ohio State University. They have a 25-page document where they did the testing on that, and it really does do what Roof Maxx claims that it does. And then it just extends the life out.
This is something you've been doing for how long now?
We're in our fifth season.
Fifth season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was, Roof Maxx is based in Columbus?
Columbus,
are they
Ohio.
Still there?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and so this is really nationwide. This is a nationwide company.
It is.
But like any company, it's only as good as how it's run by the owner. So,
it is, yes. And well, Mike and Todd Fiesel, the brothers that started, they actually had a company called Fiesel Roofing, and they ended up running that for about 25 years, and they sold it roughly 25 million. But in that process, they kept noticing that shingles kept getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And the reason for that is your oil refining company, especially in the last 20 years, have gotten a lot more efficient at getting more petrol products out of that 55-gallon barrel of oil. And so in that process, you have less and less asphalt, which out of that barrel of oil, which causes demand to go up, prices go up. And shingle manufacturers, in order to remain competitive in the roofing industry, they had to either thin their shingles down to keep the cost down, or they could have kept the same thickness, but then they would have not been competing in the roofing industry, which what Mike and Todd figured out is these newer shingles were getting so thin with less asphalt, which also means there's less petrol oil, and they were drying out a lot quicker. So now you can have a 30-year 3-tab shingle that in our climate here in Michiana, in 15 years, they're done. Right. If you get a thicker architectural shingle, 40-year, 45-year, those are done in about 20 to 23 years. And so we just have this great opportunity to kind of like you buy a new vehicle and you put oil in it for the engine, and you replace that oil every 5 years as a maintenance. And you don't just put oil in it and then drive it and drive it and drive it, and then all of a sudden your engine blows up. Then you replace the engine, you maintain it so that your engine can continue to live and function the way that the motor, manufacturers designed that motor to run. And so we can do that now with the shingles. And so Mike and Todd, they started searching for something that they could utilize into asphalt shingles. And they so your asphalt roads, especially in your rural areas, you'll see them in the summertime. They'll spread like a tarry oil type on the surface of existing asphalt roads, because in the wintertime they put salt on it, and sodium will dry out the petrol oil on the asphalt. And then you get the cracks, and then if it dries up enough where they can't expand and contract, you get potholes. Yeah. And so that technology's been around for over 20 some plus years, and they took that and they're like, we if we can do that with the asphalt on the shingles, then we're good. And that's what ended up happening.
Well, full disclosure, DeWayne treated our roof a couple of years ago. Ours was, I think at the time it was 17, 18 years old, something like that. And so what kind of like guarantee is there, or when you go into a job and someone thinks, oh, I don't want to just spend this money to restore my roof a little bit, should I just skip this and go straight for the new roof? Or what kind of guarantee do you provide before you're going to treat it?
So the guarantee is 5 years. And the reason we can do a 5-year guaranteed warranty is as your granules shed, you have asphalt exposed, and there's nothing on the market that will 100% keep oil in your shingles so that it will dry out again. We guarantee the flexibility, the pliability of your shingles, and that it functions like a newer shingle. And because the oil is actually the lifeblood for the shingle. Once that dries out, that's when it is compromised, and then you end up going closer to replacement. So my question that we talk with, and we deal with HOAs, condominiums, apartment complexes, and then you have residential. And then the question that I always ask is, if you have about 80% of your granules left, we can usually do about 3 treatments on it, and that would be 1 every 5 years, and extend your roof guaranteed for 15 more years. Mm-hmm. And you'll end up getting closer to 20. So you can do that at about, each treatment is about 1/3 of the cost of a roof replacement. So you save money, and it's a lot more budget friendly, and especially for like HOAs and condominiums and apartment complexes. Their cash reserves helps pad that, and they know their budget. But for the residential, it is definitely a plus, because why would you have a better shingle on your roof now? It's thicker than what you're going to put on. Why would you replace that if you can simply extend the life out for 15 years guaranteed, and getting closer to 20 more years, and have it cost less to do that? Because, I always tell them, you can replace them, do that today, and get 20 years. And then in 20 years, you're going to repeat that process. Right. And then you're going to have that another big expenditure.
Well, and I think you touched on a couple points there. One, can you treat it more than once? Which you've just said yes. I think you've told me that on mine, that we can treat it up to 3 times, which is awesome, because the price of a new roof, I think for mine at the time, would have probably been $25,000.
Yeah.
Fairly large roof. And, it just helps defer the cost, basically. You're not kicking the can down the road necessarily, but over the course of that house, and if you live there a long time especially, you're helping to keep that cost down.
You keep the cost down. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. So this is not a guarantee about leaks. This is just about shingle quality.
Yeah, we maintain your shingles, and if we run across roofs all the time, they might have a leak here and there. Mm-hmm. And so you repair that. We repair those, and it's part of our roof tune-up. So you have to take care of all your flashings, vents, stink pipe boots. A lot of times, about years 17 to 20, the stink pipe boots that come up from your bathrooms, they have a rubber gasket that goes around the pipe, and that is a petro-based material that will dry out as well. And you've probably seen those crack on the roofs.
Usually at about 12 years on a 20-year roof, we see those.
They do. And so we are a very, very transparent company. When we come out and look at your roof, and you saw this, I do a video of the entire roof. Mm-hmm. And so you see exactly what we see up there. And it's kind of like you're up there walking on the roof with me. And so you watch that, and then you can make an intelligent decision what you want to do. I'm not a pushy guy. I leave it in the hands of the homeowner or the board, whoever we deal with, and just to to put numbers in perspective. Because everybody's like, what does it cost?
Right. Yeah. So, and we're going to go ahead and jump into that now. We were going to touch on that later anyhow. And
so to kind of give you an idea, and I know this is a little bit more larger scale, Erskine Downs Association, it's out in South Bend off of Miami, very kind of upscale neighborhood. It's an HOA. They have 18 buildings. They are looking at a full roof replacements on all their roofs for $868,000, just under $1 million. And we were able to give them a quote for $149,000. Wow. And I'm like, just to make math easy, we'll call it $150,000. And if they do the 3 treatments every 5 years, they're going to spend around $450,000 compared to $868,000. And they're guaranteed 15 more years, getting closer to 20 more years. Mm-hmm. And the board president was ecstatic because their cash reserves, with inflation, with everything that's happening. I mean, the average family right now is spending $12,714 a year more just on groceries. So you take that into an HOA that has maintenance and all these different things that go on, the cost of goods and and services has risen dramatically in the last 4 years.
Definitely.
And so cash reserves and budgets are getting diminished, and they were a little tight. And she was like, this is an absolute blessing to them because, well, and now they can take their cash reserves, what they have, and utilize it under other maintenance projects that they have. Yeah. And the homeowner can do the same thing. If they want to save money on their roof and take that money and put it in their bathrooms, upgrade their kitchens, or simply, I don't know, maybe take the kids on vacation.
Well, I can see, especially in an HOA, that's a great point because they always have those fixed expenses that they budget in for every 20 years or whatever for roofs. And so this is really going to lighten the load on that.
Yes.
So what are some objections that you get, maybe from possibly real estate agents or even homeowners or sellers or whatnot? What are some of those, and how do you overcome those?
That is an interesting question. Objections?
I know what I've run into this before is I proposed this to somebody in a situation to try to resolve a conflict that was going on. And they came back and they said it was just a Band-Aid fix and it wasn't going to solve anything.
That just comes from not knowing or understanding, and it's all right. I always tell people it's okay to be ignorant unless it costs you money. But it just comes from not actually understanding the product, what it does, how it works. And then we step back, we go back to the basics and explain to them why it works, how it works, why it's not a Band-Aid. And then after we kind of explain, they just didn't understand the product or the process.
Right.
And after that, I mean, I really haven't had that as an objection. And it's just an education. It's a newer technology. People might not understand it. And we're very understanding of that. And they just need to be educated a little bit, and then that goes away.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I like your little comment about it's okay to be ignorant unless it costs you money.
Yeah, well, we try to, definitely we're in the business of helping people save money. So if we can do that, if I walk away and I don't close the job, or for some unforeseen reason, I feel like I haven't done a well enough job educating them. And so we just always try to go back and keep it as basic and simple as possible, which I kind of explained how it works earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're not high pressure, but you give them the facts, and it's America. It's their choice. Yeah. So 1,800 square foot house, 612 pitch. How long is that going to take to treat?
That will take, if we don't have a lot of maintenance and tune-up issues, 35, 40 minutes.
Okay. So the time you pull up, do the treatment in 35 to 4 minutes, the time you leave, probably a couple hours.
I figure like the average square foot right now, typical ranch is about 2,500 square feet. We figure right around an hour and a half to get everything done. And to kind of go back on your other question, realtors, this is how this can really benefit you, is you have sellers and you have buyers. And then you have a guy like Jamie come up on the roof, they do the roof inspection, and they can't say, this roof failed or it passed. They can just tell the buyer, basically, this is where the roof stands, roughly how many years you think that's left on it. And so when there is a roof that still has 70% of the granules remaining, we can 100% rejuvenate that, and I stand behind my guarantee of 5 years. And the seller is ecstatic because now they don't have the costly, $20,000 roof replacement cost, and they have a much lower cost. The buyer gets more, I guess you could say, comfortable, because now they know they don't have to worry about the roof for 5 years. And there's a possibility, and we would let every person know whether we got one treatment on that roof, whether we have two, or whether there's three.
Okay.
So they know up front how many treatments they can expect out of us. And it just, we've saved hundreds of thousands of real estate transactions all across the country because we make both parties more comfortable, and it helps close deals, and both parties are happy. The realtors are happy because, well, they're in the business of buying and selling the home for their client.
And for the realtors listening to this, that ought to be music to your ears, having both sides come to an agreement on something, especially over a component as big as the roof.
Well, your roof is your largest, it's almost always the largest expenditure, unless you have a house that has mold and all kinds of problems, but that's a whole different.
Yeah, or a unique septic or whatever like that. So it doesn't take you long. You can do several of these in a day. If someone were to call today, how far out are you booked? Like, how quick could you get to that?
Right now we're about 2 to 3 weeks out, because
really?
we can do roughly 25,000 square feet a day right now.
Okay.
That'll be 4-5 roofs.
All right. And so that's wow. And you have other employees as well.
Yeah, we have a guy that came on board. He was actually a plant manager for an RV factory. And on the plus for him and for all of our clients, he's got 12 years of roofing experience, tear off, replacement, repairs. So he's 100% an expert on the roof. And then we have another gal that helps us out with scheduling. And that has really shifted the load off of us. We've been doing everything ourselves, and myself personally, I've done over 1 million square feet in the Michiana area. In fact, 3 weeks ago, James Weber, he's the Concord Township trustee in Elkhart County, and last fall we did the trustee's office. We did that roof, and then 3 weeks ago we did the Concord Township fire station number 1. It was a little bit over 17,000 square feet. And then he immediately called me after, and he said he wants me to go look at fire station number 2. And through that process, we got to know the Springfield Township trustee's office out in LaPorte, and we're treating their roof, and we're trying to keep up.
Well, I don't know if I ever told you this. Maybe I did, but several years ago, I looked into joining a Roof Maxx franchise or buying one. And then I found out this area had already been bought. And so it was this guy right here. But looking back, I think it was a good decision for me not to get into it, because it takes a lot of energy. And to grow anything as an entrepreneur takes just effort day and night. So you didn't start out full blast. So now you've gone from part-time, basically, or just getting your feet on, started on it, to another employee and an office staff. So talk about that person out there. We've had a lot of layoffs in the RV industry lately. I know there's people in that realm of work that would love to do something else, start their own business. I'm not talking about this business or anything, but something that they're passionate about, that they want to do, be their own boss. Talk to them a little bit about how you get started, some of the pitfalls to avoid. There's some encouragement for them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of questions there.
That's a lot. That's a lot packed into that.
Yeah.
You have to have your motivation has to be big, and you sent me a question over where you ask who's your inspiration, and I answered that, and I said, this may sound borderline narcissistic, but it's not. My biggest inspiration is myself. And the reason we say that is I look back on my life, like where I have been, where I came from, where I am at now, and where I see myself in the future. My motivation is my kids and my wife. So you can be inspired by gurus, motivational speakers. You got the 10X Grant Cardones. But bottom line is listening to all those people. It'll help you get in the right mindset or the right frame of mind. But they absolutely do not control your destination. You are the only one that controls your destination by just the way that you think, by your emotions, how you handle things, thoughts. I am very big on thoughts and actions and where you think you will be, because what you believe and what you actually think is where you'll end up. So we have over 350 dealers nationwide, and we obviously have like a dealership forum or like a Facebook page where all the dealers can help each other out. And we have a lot of the newer dealers who, they're getting their feet wet, and they might get some leads in where, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 of them are what they would consider bad leads, where the roofs are too far gone, and they get, this roller coaster of up and down, and they're like, should we, we need to cancel those leads and like the revenue source for that. And I'm like, no, you have to stay elevated up here. And so back to your question of what does it take to start your own thing? Find something that you're passionate about, that you would love doing, because when you do that, it's not work. And like what I do with Roof Maxx, I love it. I can wake up in the morning and I'm 100% excited for the day. I love doing what I do. I don't really consider it work. I love people. I love talking to people and the interactions that I get with other people. And the other thing is find something that is a huge need in the marketplace. And if it's something that you can provide a service or a product for that, you will have success. The only reason you won't have success is yourself.
I love that. There's so many things in this culture that are negative, that can bring you down. And do bring me down from time to time. Yeah. But I love that your inspiration is yourself.
It is. Nobody controls my destination.
Right. And that's kind of what got me into business. I wanted to be able to be successful based on my efforts, and not, like, for example, when I was a teacher, I could do a great job and the guy beside me could do a terrible job and we get paid the same.
Yeah.
That didn't seem fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get into business and it's more work, but you control your own destiny to a degree. If you got the right product and you got the daily motivation, you're providing for your family.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. So we appreciate your story. We appreciate you being a successful business owner. I'm convinced that the only thing keeping America chugging these days is hardworking business owners, small business owners getting up every day and going to work.
100%.
And we're giving away half of our income to somebody else somewhere, and we don't want to turn this into that discussion.
No, we'll turn
but
into another podcast.
So why do we keep going? But it's that motivation to provide for our family, fulfilling our God-given responsibility to do the best you can every single day.
Yeah.
And so we love partnering with you. We recommend your company every chance we get, and we appreciate you coming in today to explain this all. You did a great job.
And I just want to leave this with any other business owner that's out there, is we are in God's marketplace and nothing is ours. So when you start looking at it like that, so we are stewards of his market, and the money's not ours. The clients are not ours. They're his. And when you start treating them as his children and everything's his, and so like we have been so beyond blessed out in the marketplace, and we've been able to give back to the community, to people that we love. And that is the biggest thing that I get out of this now. Like in the beginning, it was like, we got to provide for our family. But then all of a sudden you kind of get over that threshold. And the bottom line is, just remember that when you die, the only thing that you'll have is your legacy. Your money, you don't take that with you. Your materials, you don't take that with you. It stays here. It's his. And the only thing that you leave is your legacy. And that's only there for about a couple generations, and then they forget about you. So the important thing is live for him, be of service to him, and through that process in his marketplace, you and your family will be beyond blessed, and he will take care of you. He's taking care of us. He's taking care of you and your family. And I know the kind of a man you are in the marketplace like that. So I've always appreciated you and Donna. You're some good people. And you can just sense that in everybody that you meet. So thank you for having us here.
Well said. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with a business owner like this who values what he does, gives back, and provides a valuable service to homeowners and anybody else that's involved in the transaction. So thanks for watching this today. The best thing you can do is reach out, call Roof Maxx up. We're going to have their social media and phone numbers available. And so reach out to him, save yourself some money, and support a local business that's working hard to make the community better. So thanks for watching, everybody.